Flosstube. My name is Becca, and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram, and this is another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. I'm so excited today because I'm interviewing my friend. She's so sweet, and she's all the way in Australia in the future. So this is Gail, and I just absolutely love her channel. I love seeing her doggies come in, but all of her finishes, and she gets a lot of haul too. So I'll put a link down below for y'all to check out her channel. But how are you doing today, Gail?
I'm good. It's very early here in Australia, so I sort of more.
Well, hopefully we won't drag this out too long. I'm also tired, so we'll jump into some questions. The first one is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
Well, I'm fairly new to Flosstube. I've only had a Flosstube since September of last year. It's a funny story actually. I've been going to a local needlework store for probably about 15 years now, and we have meetups every week, and we were at one of our retreats back in July of last year, and several of us are stitching heaven and earth designs, so we don't get together en masse very often. So we put a call out to everyone to say, hey, if you've got a heaven and earth design, bring it to the retreat so we can take a photo and share it to the page. And we did that, and a lovely lady commented and said, you know, have you thought of going to this other retreat at Mittagong? And we were like, no, we don't know what you're talking about, you know. And of course we thought it was a heaven and earth retreat, so I said to a buddy, yeah, do you want to come? And she said, of course, we'll come. And we found out it was a regular retreat. We're like, this is even better. Like, you know, no restrictions. We're going to love it. So we signed up, and one of these ladies said, oh, look, you know, tell us what your Flosstube channel is so we can watch you. And I'm like, Flosstube? What's Flosstube? Oh. I had no clue as to what it is, because all the ladies that go to my local needlework store aren't involved in Flosstube and sort of aren't in that side of the cross-stitch community. Well, it just completely opened up a new world for me, and I thought, I can do this. So I thought, I recorded a video, and I thought, even if 2 people watch it, who cares? You know, it's a video monologue for me to keep down the track, and yeah, the rest is history. So
that's awesome. That's funny that you didn't because I didn't really know about Flosstube, I think, for the longest time, I think until they told me at one of the meetups down at Acorns. And I'm fairly new too, because I think Halloween of last year was my first video. So it's a lot of fun. It really is. So the next question is a subscriber question, and they just wanted me to ask everybody if you have a blog.
I used to many years ago, but a blog's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I found that, you know, I do take photos of my stitching, but then I virtually delete them from my phone straight away because, you know, storage, etc. Otherwise, I'm bullion photo. And I'd post it, and I wouldn't be happy with the format and putting tabs, and I think I even tried twice, and I was like, you know what, I can't do this. It's just, So the Flosstube, it's a much easier way to record what you're doing, and
Yeah,
so no.
a lot of people have the same answer. I think Flosstube is a new blog, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of moved on.
Yep. So how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
I've been stitching for 32 years.
Nice. No, be proud.
That's a very long time. I started back, I've always done craft of some way, shape or form, even when I was a small child, but when I was 16, I had chronic fatigue syndrome, and the doctors recommended that I do some sort of handiwork to get my hand-eye coordination back, because, you know, it sort of slows the whole system down. So my mother went off to a local chain of craft stores we have here in Australia called Spotlight to get a tapestry kit. Now, my dad had always done tapestry, and my grandparents had done tapestry, and one of my uncles, and I did it. And I'm not very good with spatial awareness. I'm no artist. I can't draw. So if I'm given a vague line of something, I either stitch people too fat or too skinny. There's no in between for me. They never look normal. So that was no good. It was horrendous. So my mother's like, right, I'm off to the shop again, and she bought me a cross stitch kit, and that was it. that started the whole thing. It's been going for 32 years now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of funny because I've tried like embroidery and stuff like that, or like the pre-stamped X's, you know, for cross stitch, and it's just, I like the counted cross stitch. Everything looks perfect and you can't really, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Mm.
So the next question is, what is the favorite project that you've stitched so far?
As I've said before, I've been stitching for a long time, and over those years it changes. It changes from time to time. You have a new finish, or, you know, you discover an old finish and you fall in love with it again. But so I decided to do a different take on your question. I decided to do a favourite finishing technique.
I like that.
You've probably heard this in a couple of my floss tubes. I love the Biscornus. Love them, love them. So any smalls, so needle rolls and Biscornus are my favourite. So I brought a few to show you. So I've taken it more as a finishing technique. So I'll show you some needle. So people think, do you use them? I just use them for decoration, to be quite honest. I don't actually use them. I have a big glass display cabinet in our front living room that are full of them. So there's one of them. So that's a needle roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on edge banding, and you just do the stitching and then you join it together and stuff it with polyfill or what have you. There's one of them. That's very really cute. I think that's a Laurie Birmingham design from the US. She designs quite a lot of them. So, and you get them in all types. There's another one from the Sweetheart Tree that has speciality stitches.
Oh, wow, that one's really pretty. I like the colors. It looks more.
Yeah, I have quite a few of these. And then the Biscornus. Be still my beating heart. I love a good Biscornu. It's so bad when I see a square design, I instantaneously think, how can I make this into a Biscornu?
Yeah, I can see you doing that.
I'm obsessed. It's shocking. But I've done a 15-sided Biscornu. You've done a couple of these, but that's one by Just Nan.
Oh, that is so pretty. Yeah,
so these are really, really interesting and a lot of fun to sort of fit together.
Oh, wow, you stitched all the sides. Wow.
Yeah, and this one's two-tone, so it's got green on the outside, a green fabric on the outside and like a lilac colour on the other side. Wow. And then you just stitch it together like a puzzle.
That's so pretty.
And then the Mittagong stitch is a treat. See, this is where it all started. All Flosstube's fault. So this was one of the pieces that we got at the retreat, the Koala Biscornu. This was a
so
complimentary pattern by Wild Violet. So they had the little koalas, and then on the back we stitched the gum leaves and the one you can see.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, it says
the Mittagong stitches retreat. You can sort of see.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, love a good Biscornu.
Those are so cool. I am not brave enough. I saw there was a new one that has giraffes, and my oldest daughter loves giraffes, but I'm not brave enough. I may stitch it and then send it to you, and you'll get it in like 4 months and you can finish since it takes so long.
The way the post is going, I would not be surprised, let me tell you.
Right. So the next question is, what do you enjoy most about stitching?
For me, I call it stitchitation. So it's my take on meditation. It's the repetitive motion of the, you know, the in and out. I have a very stressful job, and I find that stabbing material thousands of times helps calm me down.
It does have that therapeutic ability.
Yeah. And look, and I stitch all the time. My husband often complains that I don't just sit and watch TV, but when I do, I instantly fall asleep.
Yep.
So to be doing something, and it sort of calms the mind. And it's really funny how if you start out being really stressed and you just start that in and out, it becomes rhythm in the head, and it's my stitchitation.
I like that, stitchitation. I think I might start using that term too, because even with me, because, you know, I get those really bad headaches, and I can still stitch through those headaches because, like, stitching is just, you concentrate on that and you're not focusing on, like, the pain in your head or, you know, something on the TV. I love that, stitchitation.
Yep, take it, run with it.
Well, So the next question is, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
Oh, now I'm an avid reader. Oh, yeah. If you got writing on the back of your shirt in a supermarket queue, I'll read that if you stand there long enough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I have to say, book, I'm quite partial. There is a whole series of themed murder mystery books by Monica Ferris based on a cross-stitch store. So I think there's about 18 or 19 in the series, and it's really great because she actually brings actual cross-stitch designers into the series.
Oh, that's neat.
Fantastic. They are fabulous. Wouldn't want to live there because everybody gets bumped off.
Oh.
Like, it's a dangerous town to live in. I think it's somewhere near, is it St. Paul, Minneapolis? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that so? So it's really good when you're reading these books and they bring up the names of designers and patterns and you think, oh, yeah, I know that designer. I know that pattern. It's really quite interesting. So that's a really great series of books to read, like reading, you know. But another great series is by Marie Bostwick. I really love her books as well. She does more. I think she's got a series of about 8 or 9 books out based around a lady who opens a quilting store. But it's more based around the relationships that she fosters within this store. She sort of, all of her customers become her family and you delve into their relationships. And she's a beautiful storyteller. She really is. It's really lovely.
Those both sound actually very intriguing. I think a lot of people will look into that for sure.
Yeah, Monica Ferris. Monica Ferris for the cross-stitch book. TV, I love to watch true crime. The gorier the better. My husband thinks I'm scheming of a way to bump him off without leaving any proof.
Learning all the ins and outs.
But yeah, love to either that or if I'm just, want something on the background that I've watched lots of time, Gilmore Girls. I've watched it so many times. The pithy one-liners, the whole, we're just one step away from the men in the white coats and the butterfly nets chasing you around, it's, yeah.
Nice. Very good. I think a lot of people will be checking some of that out that you talked about. So the next question, we know where you're not going to go, but what fictional place would you most like to go?
Oh, yeah, yes, I'd love to go to Monica Ferris, but no, my luck, I'd be one of the first ones on the chopping block, seriously. Probably Hogwarts. I'm a card-carrying like Harry Potter nut. So, yeah, either that or Stars Hollow, Gilmore Girls.
Those two have been a pretty prominent answer in a lot of my interviews. It comes up a lot.
Yeah.
So, if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
This was a hard one. I think if I could do anything and the realm of possibility was completely open.
Yep.
My dad passed away in 2003 and he was a prolific cross-stitcher. He loved to cross-stitch. So if I could spend the day with him cross-stitching for the whole day, I would love to be able to do that.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, if only. I'm right there with you. Like my grandparents. Yeah, that would be amazing. So do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
I do. I love to do hardanger, which is another form of work. I also quilt. I bake, read. I mean, over the years, I've dabbled in a lot of crafts. I've done, ceramics, scrapbooking, Swedish weaving, ribbon work. Yeah, I've done lots of bits and pieces, but yeah, it's mostly cross stitch with some hardanger, quilting, baking, reading. How many hours are there in a day?
I know, right? There's barely enough hours for me to stitch, let alone anything else. So,
yep.
So how would your friends describe you?
Organized. Maybe a little bit too organized sometimes, and they sort of have to pull me back somewhat.
Okay.
One of my friends described me as very friendly but dangerous when provoked. I said to her, "You make me sound like a dog."
Maybe that they're just implying that you're a good friend and that, you know, you kind of have their back if something happens.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Well, that's a good friend to have for sure. So, so how do you prefer to stitch? Like hoop, Q-snap, light, anything like that?
Good lighting is a must. So I have several daylight lamps scattered around the house, and you know, depending on the time of the day, I'll even have it on during the day to sort of see better to stitch. But I stitch in hand. I'll use a hoop. I'll use an Omnic frame. It depends on the fabric and what it is. I do like tight fabric, so I do prefer it to be in a frame. But if the piece is only small, you know, I'm quite happy just to sort of stick it in my hand and away you go. So I guess it all depends on the piece, really.
All right. When you stitch in hand, do you use the sewing method then?
Dab.
Oh, okay. That therapeutic feeling. Do you have any, like a preferred fabric or fabric count or anything like that, or do you just stitch on everything?
I stitch on anything and everything, Aida, linen, even weave. And I have to say now, obviously with Flosstube, I've discovered a whole world of new, you know, fibre dyers, you know, beach me. That train left your station a long time ago. I don't have to tell you about her.
Yeah, I have a problem.
There are some really great Australian fabric dyers out there at the moment. You've got JaysXStitch from Etsy. She does fantastic fabric that she uses natural foods and drinks to dye her fabric. Wow. They're very subtle, absolutely gorgeous. There's a lady I talk about quite often on my Flosstube, my lovely friend Juliette. She has a Facebook page, Crafted by Juliette. She does gorgeous over-dyed fabric. I call her the fabric magician. Like, the stuff that she dyes is just, it's beautiful, beautiful. So, you know, all these little sort of custom dyes that are coming out of the woodwork, you just like rub your hands in glee because, you know, their work is beautiful, beautiful.
Yep. Hand-dyed fabric has just changed, I think, a lot of things for a lot of people, you know, because it used to be you have, you know, your white fabric and, you know, like navy blue, that kind of stuff. But now, whole new world.
And it's amazing. It changes a piece so dramatically depending on what color you put it on. You can put two pieces side by side and they don't even look like they're the same piece. It's
exactly amazing. Yep. I think it just makes it unique. That's why, like, I never use the called for only because I'm an Aida only stitcher, and, you know, patterns don't usually call for Aida, but it just makes it unique to you because you're picking, you know, that fabric. So yeah, I love it. I love all the different choices you can have. So what's your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring any stitching along with you when you went?
I take stitching everywhere.
Me too.
Everywhere. And I think I mean, we go to Fiji quite a lot normally because Fiji is only a 4-hour plane ride from Sydney. So, you know, hubby likes to jet ski on the ocean and I sit on the beach under an umbrella and stitch away as I see him zipping backwards and forwards, you know. But the best holiday we had was, I think back in 2017, we did a 24-night cruise from Sydney to Seattle.
Wow.
And so, you know, we stopped at all the Pacific Islands. So, you know, Isle of Pines, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, Fiji. And then we sailed across the Pacific Ocean to Hawaii. So we were at sea for 8 days. And that was brilliant. I stitched my little heart out by the pool everywhere. And there was lots of people who were stitching. So we sort of formed little informal gatherings.
That's so neat.
And, so we stopped at 3 different Hawaiian islands. And then we sailed then from Hawaii up the west coast of the US. I think that was 6 days at sea. And we stopped at Seattle. And we were in Seattle for, I think it was 3 days. And then we caught the train to Vancouver. My husband's brother and his wife live about an hour and a half outside of Vancouver, and we were there for nearly a week, and then we flew home. So I took stitching and I stitched everywhere on that trip, everywhere.
That sounds amazing, man. You guys need to do that again because I'm like an hour ferry ride from Seattle. So just saying.
Look, I've been to Hawaii a few times, but I've never actually been to the mainland US until then. And we loved Seattle. It was a fabulous vibe. We went to the I went to the Chihuly Glass Museum. I spent hours there. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
Wandering around I think it's a Pike Marketplace.
Pike Place, yeah.
That was, I just walked around trying to keep my mouth closed because, I was like, it was amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's amazing. It's a really popular tourist area, but I love it. It's very unique. That's what it is. It's very unique. All the little shops and stuff in there are really neat. So
yeah.
So yeah, anytime that you're back in the area, let me know. That'd be so much fun. So what can you not do without for your stitching besides the basics, but your like favorite go-to?
Wow. Good lighting. Good lighting for me is a must because look, I'm as blind as a bat, big, thick multifocal glasses, my eyesight is terrible. And unless I have really, really good lighting, I can still stitch, but I find it a real struggle and it takes the joy out of it. So really good lighting is a must for me.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. So this one seems to has a very common answer, but how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
I'm a planner. I'm a creature of habit.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks ago, I walked around the house. We're sort of redoing flooring and all sorts of bits and pieces. We live in quite a sort of a large house. So I walked around the house and sort of did an inventory, I guess, of what I got hanging on the walls, what I want to hang on the walls, and I've made a nice long list. I love lists. I might not get to stitch everything on that list, but I've got a plan, and that makes me happy. So I'm sort of systematically going through that list because I want to have everything stitched and hanging on the walls. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, there you go. You have a different answer from everybody because a lot of people just said whatever calls to them, or something like that. But that's different. Planned and you know what you want, where you want. I think I should do that too because I'm trying to fill up this other wall. So I might do that too. So we are down to the last question, and this is my favorite one that I like to ask everybody at the very end, and it's what's the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
This was the toughest question of all, and
I figured it would be for a lot.
After watching all of your other interviews, a lot of people have said the same thing. I have to say, for us personally, the end of 2019 was pretty bad. As you know, we were directly impacted by the bushfires. Yeah. So, we sustained a lot of, they saved the house, but a lot of property and structural damage. So I guess 2020, it's not one particular thing in particular. It's the fact that, you're grateful for your home, you're grateful for your community. One of my favourite quotes of all time is by Winston Churchill, and he says, you make a living from what you get, but you make a life from what you give.
I love
now, that is words that I try and live by every day. So we've become more active in the community, trying to help our neighbours because a lot of our neighbours lost their homes in the bushfires. So for me, it's not one thing in particular. It's just, being grateful for what you have, yes, this whole COVID and everything else that's going on in the world at the moment, but we've been fortunate. I've been able to work all the way through and we haven't suffered financially like a lot of other people have. So, you've just got to be grateful for what you have, honestly, because if you look on the negative side of things, you're always going to be miserable. So, always look for that silver lining.
Yep. Those are perfect words to live by. And that quote's amazing. It really is. Just trying to see the positive in everything. And that's why I asked this question at the end is because, 2020 has sucked for everybody. It really has. And so just trying to get people to see that there's still some good and some, there's still happiness with all of the stuff that's going on. So yeah, I love what you said.
Yeah.
So much. And hopefully everybody can take a little bit of your view on that. That will help a lot of people. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know it's super early and you got to go into work, and I'm getting a tan right now. The sun is like shining on me. So
and it's freezing cold here, and the wind is blowing. It's winter in Australia. It's very cold.
That's so crazy because I think it's like 80 something here today in Washington. So I'm kind of toasty right now. I'm sure people are surprised that I'm not wearing a sweatshirt because I usually do, but I'm wearing a t-shirt today. So anyways, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to get to work. So thank you so much for taking time for this interview. I really, really appreciate it. It was nice chatting with you.
That's great to talk to you.
Thank you. And we're going to say bye to Flosstube. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Flosstube.